So guys, I don't know how I feel entirely about this decision by Biden. Now, obviously, the title is a little bit clickbaity. The whole, like, rare Biden L, the whole thing. There is a fair amount of evidence to suggest that this could actually be some, like, 5-head actual 4D chess moves by Biden, as he'll explain momentarily, supposedly. There is a big problem when it comes to the backlog of asylum seeker evaluation in our immigration system. And Biden's claim, from my understanding, is that the best way to handle it is to stop accepting asylum applications for a time, to catch up on said backlog, get us caught up, and to retool the system as needed in order to make it far more efficient for the future. However, in the meantime, this does mean that we've got to deal with this headline. Biden announces new immigration actions, restricting asylum for migrants crossing the southern border. And while this will appeal, no doubt, to even a lot of, average majority Democrats, who are even themselves kind of sticklers for immigration, this is definitely going to disenfranchise those, barely wanting to vote for Biden hyper-progressives, such as myself. But, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I want to vote for Biden, but, there are people that are in this sphere that much less enthusiastic. Asylum and immigration is 40 years backlogged, for the record. Yes, that is true, Dill Answer. It is 4 decades backlogged. There's a reason why Biden is saying we need to, really sweep the table clear here and, set it all back up from square one,
4 months
Let's hear him
ago,
out.
after weeks of intense negotiation between my staff and Democrats and Republicans.
Oh, not to mention, if the Republicans block this, it's another example of them, clearly not wanting to, quote-unquote, solve the immigration crisis that so many of their voters are concerned about, while Biden is so publicly and clearly trying to do it, So it's just, if the Republicans stop this or go after him for it, it's going to look bad for all those Republicans that do that, once again.
We came to a clear bipartisan deal. It was the strongest border security agreement in decades.
That's
but
what he's
then,
referencing.
Republicans in Congress, not all, but walked away from it. Why? Because Donald Trump told them to. He told the Republicans, it has been published widely by many of you, that he didn't want to fix the issue. He wanted to use it to attack me.
Yep, that is completely true. As a matter of fact, a good example of someone who talked about this and even condemned it is Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney got really pissed off and criticized the House Republicans who blocked this bill because they, and I quote, it wasn't Biden's problem to solve. It's Trump's problem to solve.
That's what he wanted to do. It was a cynical and an extremely cynical political move and a complete disservice to the American people who are looking for us to not to weaponize the border, but to fix it. Today, I'm joined by a bipartisan group of governors, members of Congress, mayors, law enforcement officials, most of whom live and work along the southern border. They know the border is not a political issue to be weaponized. The responsibility we have to share to do something about it. They don't have time for the games played in Washington, and neither do the American people. So today, I'm moving past Republican obstruction and using the executive authorities available to me as president to do what I can on my own to address the border. Frankly, I would have preferred to address this issue through a bipartisan.
Man, I feel bad that Biden has mush mouth. I get it sometimes too. You'll notice when I'm tired and I'm streaming, I'll start stringing words together and they become less enunciated and harder to pick apart and understand. It's hard, especially when you're probably talking all day and probably doing a pretty stressful job day to day. It's hard not to get mush mouth, especially when you're speaking to a massive crowd of people and it's fuck, I've got a 9-minute speech I've got to do. And I got to remember every bit of it, and I've got to not slur my words or get mush mouth, What's up, Every Gretel? Good to see you.
Partisan legislation, because that's the only way to actually get the kind of system we have now that's broken, fixed, to hire more Border Patrol agents, more asylum officers, more judges. But Republicans have left me no choice. Today, I'm announcing actions to bar migrants who cross our southern border unlawfully.
The president of Mexico and some Central American presidents are working with and support Biden on this. That's actually really good. From what I understand, I'm probably going to cover this. Didn't the isn't the new president of Mexico gonna be like a socialist woman who's also like a climate, like really like climate aware, like a climate scientist, I think. Yeah, I saw that shit on Twitter. Looked good. Happy to hear it. That's some good news. Brianna Joy Gray got fired. That goes hard. That's some good news, Heavy Gretel. Thank you for letting me know.
From receiving asylum. Migrants will be restricted from receiving asylum at our southern border unless they seek it after entering through an established lawful process. And those who seek to come to the United States legally, for example, by making an appointment and coming to a port of entry, asylum will still.
Some people at Vosh's chat for some reason didn't like her. Well, a lot of the like shitting on Biden content that Vosh has been doing lately is attracting the like fuck libs, they're just as bad, if not worse than fascists crowd, you know?
Be available to them, still available. But if an individual chooses not to use our legal pathways, if they choose to come without permission and against the law, they'll be restricted from receiving asylum and staying in the United States. This action will help us gain control of our border, restore order into the.
Ports of entry will still be open? Yes, of course, Delancer. This is not like Biden locking down the border. On paper and headline-wise, dishonest actors will be able to push it that way if they want to, but you can clearly hear his words and what he's actually saying. This is not about, like, locking people out of the country and securing the border. It's about catching up on that backlog and fixing our immigration system that's so broken right now that Moist Critical is suing U.S. immigration. It's a bad system. You know what? I choose to believe that Moist Critical bringing attention to how bad the U.S. immigration system is, that's what caused this. Biden's a big Critical fan. He's like, oh, Jack, this can't do. Moist Esports needs to take off.
Process. This ban will remain in place until the number of people trying to enter illegally is reduced to a level that our system can affect.
I don't understand that whole libs are just as bad as fascist rhetoric. How are you that dense? The quote, liberalism is the moderate wing of fascism, is basically just another quippy bullshit slogan that sounds nice to like college students and people who are like still have the brains of college students as adults and 14-year-olds that like LARP and wear Ushankas on the internet. But it's not really a politically coherent or literate perspective. It's honestly something that when I hear it, I stop taking people as seriously once they say it. Liberalism is not even close to the moderate wing of fascism when you consider that Trump is like the shallow end of fascism. And he is still so many miles and universes and planets away from like Biden, who is considered by many of these people to be a moderate Democrat, when he's actually like a very like actually quite radical Democrat compared to every Democrat before him.
Effectively manage. We'll carry out this order consistent with all our responsibilities under international law, every one of them. In addition to this action, we recently.
Could you ever imagine Obama just straight up ending the coal industry by 20? Like, I guess back then it would be like by 2016. Like within his first 4 years, if Obama just straight up said, yeah, so hold on. The coal industry is pretty much gone now. My fellow Americans, I'm happy to inform you I have solved climate change. You may go back to your lives now. Be happy. Obama. That's my best Obama impression. Yeah, so basically like you couldn't imagine doing something like that. Biden did that. You know, that's a pretty big jump in like beliefs.
Made important reforms in our asylum system, more efficient and more secure reforms.
Yeah, he was getting mad at
those
people
being dumb. The goal is to deliver decisions on asylum as quickly as possible. The quicker decision means that a migrant is less likely to pay a criminal smuggler thousands of dollars to take him on a dangerous journey, knowing that if in fact they move in the wrong direction, they returned around quickly. And 2 weeks ago, the Department of Justice stated.
This is true. This is also a good way to choke out organized crime along the border, which is really where the actual danger is. It's the organized crime, not like random families and asylum seekers and immigrants trying to get into America to live a life.
Started a new docket in the immigration courts to address cases where people who've recently crossed the border they make a decision within 6 months rather than 6 years, because that's what happens now. Additionally, the Department of Homeland Security has proposed new rules to allow federal law enforcement to more quickly remove asylum seekers that have criminal convictions and remove them from the United States. My administration has also recently launched new efforts to go after criminal networks that profit from smuggling migrants to our border.
Okay, that's
and
good.
Incentivize people to give tips to law enforcement.
This is actually good policy. Like, it sounds harsh. It sounds almost like you might want to think it's Republican, but these are surgically targeted policies that actually attack the very few negatives that can come about with immigration, which is the support of a lot of organized crime, which does work to help, like, smuggle people beyond the border, and then they usually get sold into, like, slavery, which is a big reason why it's bad. They're not, like, just getting smuggled and it's like, you're free to go now. It's like, okay, now you're a sex slave. And you can't go to the police either because you're an illegal immigrant. Welcome to America. Like, that's the situation. That's what Biden is trying to stop.
Of course, provide information that brings smugglers to justice. We're also sending additional federal prosecutors to hotspots along the border and prosecute individuals who break our immigration laws. One other critical step that we will be taking, and that is made a huge difference. We continue to work closely with our Mexican neighbors instead of attacking Mexico. And it's worked. We've built a strong partnership of trust between the Mexican President Lopez Obrador, and I'm going to do the same with the Mexican-elect president who I spoke with yesterday. We've chosen to work together with Mexico as an equal partner, and the facts are clear. Due to the arrangements that I've reached with President Obrador, the number of migrants coming and to our shared border unlawfully in recent months has dropped dramatically. But while these steps are important, they're not enough. To truly secure the border, we have to change our laws, and Congress needs to provide the...
I saw a Vosh thumbnail calling this a bad plan. Oh yeah, the entire online left is freaking out at Biden about this. You have to understand, it's very hard to read past a headline and to, like, change your mind upon finding out the headline is, like, not where you should be basing your opinion on. And I see a lot of people on the left do that, plus there's a bias to already hate Biden. So without really understanding how the immigration system works or what needs to be done to solve it, which is what Biden has actually brought together a massive group of professionals and experts who are very pro-immigration to get together and explain to them, this is how this system needs to be fixed, this is what you need to do, and it's what he's doing, and he's gotten a bipartisan plan together to actually pull it off as long as the Republicans don't block it. There's a lot of, like, lefty derangement about this, sadly. Unfortunately, a lot of the solutions to our country's problems might look like more problems to people who want to see revolution level reform, like here and now, right away, you know?
Necessary funding to hire 1,500 more border security agents, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backlog of cases, more than 2 million of them, 4,300 more asylum officers to make decisions in less than 6 months instead of 6 years, which is what it takes now, and around 100 more high-tech detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop fentanyl being smuggled into the United States.
But it's always, I get that, Grand Zan fan. It's very tongue-in-cheek, though, right? It's a very, like backwards kind of, like, sort of an insult. Like, instead of acknowledging this as, like, Biden putting together a plan to, like, fix our immigration system, it's Biden did the only thing he could do. And it's bad. Or it's cringe. Like, that's the implication, right? So, it's just a very maybe not dishonest. I won't say it's dishonest, because that implies lying. It's just a very inaccurate framing of what's actually happening here, right?
These investments were one of the primary reasons that the Border Patrol Union endorsed the bipartisan deal in the first place. And these investments are essential, remain essential. As far as I'm concerned, if you're not willing to spend the money to hire more Border Patrol agents, more asylum officers, more judges, more high-tech machinery, you're just not serious about protecting our border. It's as simple as that.
True.
I believe that immigration has always been a lifeblood of...
I love that, too, how he's appropriated the protect our border narrative, too. So, like, your more moderate like, who am I going to vote for this election? Could be Trump, could be Biden people. Might hear that and be like, well, I care about the border being secure. I guess, yeah, I don't really like Trump much. I guess I'll go with Biden then. Like, there are a lot of people, like immigration, at least appearing hard on immigration to, like, the normies is actually quite important. Even if it means, in reality, Biden is actually fixing our immigration system and making it more generous and better for immigrants and asylum seekers.
America. We're constantly renewed by an infusion of people and new talent. The Statue of Liberty is not some relic of American history. It stands for who we are as the United States. So I will never demonize immigrants. I'll never refer to immigrants as poisoning the blood of a country. And further, I'll never separate children from their families at the border. I will not ban people from this country because of their religious beliefs.
That is true. Biden, one of the first things Biden did when he got into office is he started, like, dismantling all of the, like the shit where they were separating families, right? Like, a big part of the exception here as well, like, while he is saying they're going to turn away people at the border, there are exceptions. I believe it's women and children and the elderly are allowed through still. This doesn't apply to them. They're just going to be allowed immediate asylum because that's always been the policy. That's always been the exception. Besides under Trump's, like, bans that he's instilled sometimes during, like, temporary immigration bans, like the Muslim ban. Generally, if there's asylum seeking, children are allowed in, like a lone child, especially, allowed in, like, without question.
I will not use the U.S. military to go into neighborhoods all across the country to pull millions of people out of their homes and away from their families to put detention camps while awaiting deportation, as my predecessor says he will do if he occupies his office again. On my very first day as president, I introduced a comprehensive immigration reform plan to fix our broken system, secure our border, provide a pathway for citizenship for dreamers, and a lot more. And I'm still fighting to get that done. But we must face the simple truth. To protect America as a land that welcomes immigrants, we must first secure the border and secure it now.
I like that. He says it's securing the border, which it kind of is, I guess. Like, we're funding it, and we're kind of like, we are turning people away for a time. But it's actually in the service of opening our border more than ever. So it's very sly, right? Like, if you're progressive and you know what he's doing and you've followed his plan and you know what he's like, he's explained it here, then you're like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But if you're like a normie, you just hear him saying, we got to secure our border. It matters. We got to fund this. And it's like, sure, okay.
Simple truth is, there is a worldwide.
Hey, nah, listen, I see you in chat. You don't want to die on that hill, bro. You should stop. You don't want to die on that hill.
Migrant crisis. And if the United States doesn't secure our border, there's no limit to the number of people may try to come here, because there's no better place on the planet than the United States of America. For those who say the steps I've taken are too strict, I say to you that be patient. And goodwill of American people are wearing thin right now. Doing nothing is not an option. We have to act. We must act consistent with both our law and our values as Americans. I'll take these steps today, not to walk away from who we are as Americans, but to make sure we preserve who we are for future generations to come. Today, I've spoken about what we need to do to secure the border. In the weeks ahead, and I mean the weeks ahead, I'll speak to how we can make our immigration system more fair and more just. Let's fix the problem and stop fighting about it. I'm doing my part. We're doing our part. Congressional Republicans should do their part. Thank you very much.
Zandy, you believe the allegations? What allegations? I saw the original clip. Yeah, this is obviously going to get a broad variety of coverage from different outlets. You're going to have the right-wing outlets that are going to probably try to pick it apart and find a way to say that this is like, they're going to probably recognize the fact that this is Biden actually helping immigrants, and they're going to try to do the whole, like, Biden's going to open the border, he's tricking you, which is honestly closer to the truth than most outlets are going to report. You're going to get left-wing outlets that are probably going to be far harsher on Biden for this than usual. And then hopefully, maybe once in a blue moon, you'll get some more sensible, progressive outlets that are going to give a a fair shake to what Biden's doing here, right? And I'd like to think I'm one of them. I'd like to think I'm one of the sensible outlets. Regardless, though, I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed, consider dropping a like, subbing, donating, gifting a sub. Financial or non-financial, your support really does go a long way no matter when, where, or what you're watching. And of course, don't forget to follow my social medias linked down below in the description. You can also support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, or Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below. And don't forget to join my fan Discord, linked in the description as well, which is the main hub of my community where I do fan events, I do call-in streams, and I also do gaming events and watch parties. I also announce all my uploads and streams too, so don't forget to join and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Hope to see you guys there, and I hope you enjoyed.